Well, if you, as you can see, right coming out of the gate of the vet check. So
You got
the
this.
story with the vet check is I came in the first 20, I don't know, it's like 27, 28-ish miles around there of the ride, and I was worried about him. I was a little bit worried about his feet. He was acting just a little bit sore, I thought, on some of these roads. You see throughout most of this video, we ride kind of just barely off the shoulder. Even this kind of gravel, he was kind of shying at. And as I explained in video 1, he is barefoot. The other thing coming into the vet check, I was just really worried about his impulsion. So the whole first part of the ride, I had a really hard time motivating him to move onward, and that in conjunction with his slight perceived soreness made me concerned that maybe something was wrong. This is, you know, we've done a lot of training. We're actually in great shape. We've done tons of miles, lots of great training rides, and with that, that's what made me worried about his impulsion, because usually he has great impulsion, if that makes sense. So, but we've also never attempted the miles, so I also was wondering if maybe, you know, it's just something with going longer that he just couldn't handle it, you know. However, when we got into the vet check, he vetted out extremely well. His heart rate was great. He wasn't even sweating. Like, they said that he looked amazing. The vet check said that he had no limp or sign of any lameness or soreness in his hooves. Basically, what they said, more experienced riders said, is like, they would understand if I would want to pull, which the only reason I would want to pull, by the way, is out of concern for my horse, and also because we were like right on the cusp of not making time to finish the race in the 12-hour time cutoff. I was struggling because he seemed to me to be struggling. Anyway, but what experienced riders there told me is that that he was probably just a little bit bored, maybe lazy, because he seemed super fit. I think his heart rate was like 48. And so they said he's probably just bored and he had like a lot left in the tank. And this also resonated with me because, again, I know we've put in the work.
You got this.
So there was a rider there at the vet check that had like this little crop you see on my hand right there, that she was heading back home. Because she had just completed this loop. So after this loop, it's not an official vet hold, but it does stop the vet hold area again, so people get water there on the way back. And she overheard the conversation, and she offered to lend me her crop just to give him a little extra motivation. And you'll see throughout this, like, I don't really use it or need to use it. I used it once there right out the gate. I think before I even started filming, and you see he ran off really good. And I think I use it like maybe 1 or 2 other times, but for the most part, he doesn't really need it. Here we're walking where it's a little bit more rocky to save his hooves, of course. But and then he's just completely different for the rest of the ride. From this point on, you know, and you'll see in this video, we basically walk the rocky portions and then we trot canter the rest of the way home.
There you go.
So it was just a really amazing turnaround, and the crop was really all we needed, just a little bit extra motivation to keep him from being too bored. You also hear throughout this, I'll comment, going up this hill. I did push him pretty hard up this hill, and it's not like a super steep hill, but it's a pretty sustained hill. I don't usually do that, but I really wanted to kind of get him woken up. You know, I do actually have a pretty decent idea of how much I can push my horse, you know, and I guess that sounds kind of counterintuitive based on what I just told you at the vet check, that I needed other people to tell me that he was okay. But how do I explain? I'm listening to his breathing, and, you know, I do see that he's sweating there, but I guess what I'm saying is we have worked hard in training, and in those trainings I always check his heart rate. I don't have a heart rate monitor on him, but check his heart rate, check how he's doing afterwards, check for soreness and stuff like that, and he's always done really well. So I did push him a little bit harder up the hill than I would generally do or even like advocate doing, but I think that in this case it was definitely okay. And just for the record right here, at the end of this ride, even after we trot and canter almost the entire way home, he checked in with his heart rate at 48 and it was 80 degrees. So he was definitely super fit. So let me explain a little bit about why it's very important to, even with knowing that your horse can metabolically do harder speeds, you know, or swifter speeds, it's still important to rate your horse in certain instances. and why I wouldn't ride Nico this hard for 50 miles every day. And the reason is so like heart and lungs take about 3 months-ish to be conditioned, muscles 3 to 6 months, tendons and ligaments 6 to 12 months, hooves 7-ish months, and bones like 1 to 3 years. So if you're looking at like the metabolics, but plus the chassis of your horse, it takes a while for everything to come together to have a very fit horse that you can, let's say, push consistently. With that all in mind, that's why I don't push Nico consistently, and this is why this is our second race this year, because even though Nico is 10 years old, he's never done significant work in his life. You know, and you know, we've trained a lot this season, so metabolically he's in great shape, but sometimes the metabolics in the heart can outpace the chassis, which is the bones, ligaments, tendons, etc. So that's why during a horse's generally, you know, first few years, like I would say, and most people recommend, that you don't push beyond what they're capable of, if that makes sense. And you have to be cognizant and aware of all that. Good job, buddy.
You're my boy. We'll get some good ground.
So anyway, that's why
right there.
I didn't really plan on pushing him this hard the whole race. And again, I use even the term race loosely. It's more of a race against time. We're not obviously pushing to like win it. I even use just the most endurance riders don't really use the word race a lot because that's the negative connotation that we're trying to kill our horses. Like, no, we're not. And, you know, we take a lot of pride in having our horses come back home healthy and sound. But I use the term race because it literally is that. You are racing against time, if nothing else. So it still is the correct term. So don't get me wrong when I use that term. He's doing really well trotting over these rocks, by the way. So these rocks are sparse enough that I can let him still trot out. It's fine on his hooves because he's not stepping on the rocks. Anyway, so that is, I guess, kind of why, though, that I am still, even throughout this, why I'm pushing him a little bit. I'm cognizant of the amount I'm pushing him, and it's not like he's doing a ton of events this year, so I don't... I guess I didn't put any undue strain on tendons, ligaments, bones, etc. that's going to like ruin him or anything. He's just fine. So you'll see me here. I encourage him, I push him, and I do stretch him a little bit, kind of like you'd think like a coach for some sport team. Like right there, he slowed down. I'm like, oh, keep going. And you notice how too more and more. I think I might have tapped him with the whip there. I don't have the audio on while I'm doing this voiceover, but more and more, all I need to do is give him like a verbal cue, like normal in training. That's usually in training, I just give him verbal cues with like a slight, maybe tap with my legs or a change in my seat. And again, I need to use the crop very little after that first instance. So he's definitely got the gumption and the heart for it. Oh, by the way, I ran straight up the hill. I don't like to run like kind of sidelong, you know, on a hill where they're like running sideways to an incline. So I ran up the hill, and then right here we run back to the trail on the flat ground. So yeah, we get back to the trail right here. And oh man, I lost my train of thought. Again, the moral of the story is, though, you see me pushing him. Oh, like a coach, just like a coach in sports. You do need sometimes someone to motivate you and to push you, to stretch you, to help you become better.
Keep going.
Within the context that it's helping you become better and stronger, without injuring you or killing you. And it is my opinion, you know, that throughout this whole rest of this ride,
that's fine.
And this segment, that yes, I am pushing Nico here, but based on our vet check results at the end of the ride, and based on my knowledge of him, and you know, like a thorough body check, I pushed him in such a way that nothing else other than to help him become better and stronger, and did not endanger him or make him in any way injured or whatever. And if you are going to push, I think pushing uphill is a great time to push. It's very hard on your metabolically, which is his strong point, but it's a little bit, I don't know if it's exactly the same for horses, but for humans, you know, I'm a runner and a triathlete, and I would always much rather run and push myself uphill, and then the downhills are where I'm like easy, because that's easy on myself, because that's where it's hard on the joints. So you'll see here on some of the downhills and the rocky portions, there's another spot up here I get off and walk for a little bit, and There's a few times on the downhills I'll still trot him,
Not
but
too bad,
it's
eh?
hard to gauge
let's
by
go.
the angle of the GoPro. But generally, I will only trot him downhill if
You run?
the angle is slight enough that I anticipate
There you
to not be an issue on any of his joints. But man, he's going out just so good. So strong, really good in his steps. And this whole segment was just an amazing ride. A lot of great footage of, you know, just
Keep going.
riding
You're
and being
okay.
a lot of fun with your horse. I've also done some of the, I guess, mental calculations. This is all just an FYI. It is not you know, implying anything or like, oh, again, we got to race brain. I think there's a time and a place for appropriate racing. And I say that appropriate racing on purpose. You know, there are people in the sport that race, and again, a lot of those people that I know that do race are amazing horsemen and horsewomen, and they take care of their horses. So I have nothing against them because they, no matter what, they still put their horses first. And anyone that is racing with the intent of, or you know, that doesn't care about their horses, which I don't know any of those people, shame on them. But anyway, what I'm saying is there is a time and place for appropriate racing. Saying that, my comments are not meant to indicate anything. They're just interesting facts. So if we would have held this pace that we go through this video, the entire ride, we would have cut our time by, I believe when my calculation is like almost like 3 hours. And we were doing such a nice pace that if we would have been doing this the whole way, it would have put us around 3rd place in this given ride. Which for our first 50 would have been amazing. And again, that's not how it went, and that's fine. And I'm actually really glad that this is how it worked out, where we did our first half like very slowly, and our second half was a negative split. In racing, we call that a negative split when your second half of the race is shorter or faster than the first half. So this is how I think is a very good way to approach a first race or ride in general. Is where the first half you're taking it easy, and then the second half is where you use
we should be able to make good enough time.
So that's a lot of coaches kind of advise for negative split strategy. But again, just as a matter of interest and note, if we would have gone this pace the whole way,
I think you're gonna have to trust me. It's
that's how fast we're going. We went from 6 hours and almost not making the cutoff because it's a 12-hour cutoff, and we were just about halfway. So again, we were close to not making time. To when we came in with like 3-hour cushion. That's how much time we made up, which is incredible. And not only that, but we came in with that time and that cushion, and Nico still pulls down to 48, like for his vet check with the CRI. I mean, with no soreness or no lameness. I mean, that is incredible to me, just how amazing he did in reality. Like that, we pushed ourselves, came home almost the entire way trot canter, and he still had was nonchalant about it, just went straight to eating and drinking like nothing ever happened, which is really cool to see. So it gave me some confidence, and also, what's the word, like, it was very reassuring to me to realize, like, oh, he probably was just bored and a little bit lazy, just like the people at the Red Check said. I didn't do anything undue or unduly harmful or unnecessary to my horse. Like, I have trained him and prepared him for this. So it's very, again, reassuring to me that I did, in fact, take all the right steps.
Tough,
and that really the only true issue with this ride is just our hoof wear situation, which I have nothing. I love barefoot. It's just that my ideal world. Here, I guess I'll pause and restate. So I have nothing against shoes. I like shoes. I have nothing against barefoot. You know, I know there's a lot of people that will advocate for one or the other. So this is my opinion here. Is I'm not a dogmatic advocate for one or the other. I'm a dogmatic advocate for doing whatever's best for your horse. I also do think that there is one issue with shoes, whether that's glue-ons, boots, or nailed. And the one issue with those is that they can sometimes mask lameness that would not otherwise be there, or that would otherwise be there if the horse is barefoot. That's the one issue I have with shoes and boots. My point being is, I believe that a horse in general should be basically sound barefoot. And this is a side. I know there's a lot of special cases and a lot of horses that just have bad feet or need like corrective shoeing. Like, so this kind of, let's say a normal average horse with a normal average good foot. That's kind of what I'm talking about here. Is that my belief would, and hope would be that the horse would be sound with an average good barefoot, and then shoeing would be used as needed to protect the hoof from an unnecessary amount of abrasion. In other words, like for a 50-mile ride like this, it's over a significant amount of rock or gravelly terrain like that trail, which would be nice to be just sitting on that trail the whole time. That I would prefer to shoe him almost just for the ride itself, shoes or boots, just to protect from the abrasion, because if you imagine like sandpaper on the hoof, wearing the hoof down for the entire 50 miles, that's a lot more than what we do on an average day. And so that's what I would think in my mind, in an ideal case for a horse like Nico would be, is like I would use shoes, whatever type of shoe or boot that is, just whatever works, as a way to prevent undue abrasion, and also to protect against the odd like rock bruise while you're going at speed. But the ideal and the hope is that in a barefoot situation, aside from that, is that they're generally sound, right? So you're using the shoe to protect an already sound and healthy foot and already healthy horse. That's kind of my general opinion and ideology with horses and hoofwear. And again, that's, like I mentioned before, that's the disclaimer. That's an aside from all these special cases that, you know, that farriers and vets and, you know, professionals have the jurisdiction to like kind of overrule me on like a special needs horse or a special needs hoof, which they're all around. Horses all around needs, each horse is an individual, needs their owner to make those decisions. So those are kind of just some general viewpoints, which again, I think other people might either agree or disagree with, which is totally fine. I'm just talking for the sake of talking. He's so fun to ride. He's just so smooth. I really love this horse. Here I'm pushing him a little bit again. Just like I've mentioned, I still push him. But you'll see it's just usually like a verbal cue, which is great. Not really needing the crop. Okay, this is one spot of the entire thing where I went and just doing a minor insert here for my commentary there about shoes and hoof care and stuff. It's impossible to go into all your thoughts in just like a short thing like this. I totally understand and recognize that there's a lot that goes into this. So the main thing is do what's best for your horse. Listen to your farrier, listen to your vet. That's my main opinion. So I'm just kind of giving some overall thoughts. I'm actually very flexible with my viewpoints of all that stuff because I know that I'm still a novice, but I do have some formulated thoughts. So that's what I'm saying there, but don't take me for gospel. Always listen to your vets, farriers, etc. And just take my viewpoints there for a grain of salt, what it's worth, etc. So don't stress it too much. If you have any questions, feel free to comment me. Cheers. All right. He is so fun to ride. This is so. Those of you watching this in hopes or preparation to do endurance, or just love horses, or those that are experienced dirt riders and know better than me, maybe I'm inadvertently saying some crap, I don't know. But this moment here, these moments here where you are just with your horse, having a blast out in the middle of nowhere over some beautiful terrain, it just makes all of the effort and everything worth it. So, you know, we've been training for 2 years, and now here we can just kind of just ride and have fun together. Makes it all worth it. You might think like, oh, is Nico having fun? Like, if you look here, you know, again, he might be, as I discovered on this ride, he might in fact be inclined to some more laziness than I would have prescribed to him in my training or previously. Because again, usually he has great impulsion, so I might have discovered a little lazy streak in him. But if you look when we are running and stuff, his ears are perked. He seems happy. He's got good self-carriage. I am not a dressage rider, and I don't know about everything about how a horse should collect themselves totally properly, but I do know that he is. I don't know. I don't think that he's hating life, is I guess what I'm saying. I think that he's generally pretty all right. Maybe like, oh, you know, I would rather just be eating my alfalfa, because that's always his state of mind. but I think that overall he
You
is,
okay?
he's an athlete, and
Oh, there,
just
good.
like if you're in a basketball game, football game, soccer, whatever it is, it's like it's hard work, but it's enjoyable as well. So I don't think he hates me. My computer's pinging me. This is just barely a slight incline still. And again, he really just doesn't like the road itself, so I'm kind of just keeping him off that. And he does really good on this grassy terrain. There are some slight rocks, but when he's paying attention like this, he's extremely sure-footed and very good about where he's placing his feet. I found.
Here. Right here.
So, just keeping him right next to the trail.
Hey, let's go.
Part.
Tanner.
I think some later in the ride, I can't remember exactly, as I'm kind of watching the captions of what I said in real time, but there are some parts where like I will ask him to do something and then I kind of like counteract that in my mind. Like, in other words, so sometimes like, oh, keep going, and then I'm like, oh, actually, no, we should. You were right that we should be going this pace. So one thing we've gotten better at in training is he'll kind of tell me about how fast or whatever is a good speed. So again, there are sometimes where I will say something, but then I will like kind of recant that once I realize that he was in fact right about the speed that we were going. So I guess what I'm saying is, in general, I am the rider. I'm still directing him and coaching him, but I will also try to listen to his opinion. And sometimes I'm like, oh, your opinion is right. And it's in these cases, like this segment, when we're super connected and where he's like in tune and listening.
We're gonna get on the trail for this.
In return, be in tune and listen to him. So in the first segment, when we have like maybe a little argument, as you saw in the first video, I will need to like kind of say like, nope, this is what we're doing, and kind of be assertive. And in those cases, I am not listening to him. So I believe my horse should have a say, and that's, I guess, why in the first video he does say so much, because I let him say stuff. I let him voice his opinions. But sometimes I don't listen to him, or don't, it's just like a child. It's like a child wants to do something that's not in their best interest or is not the game plan at that moment. The parent or the adult needs to kind of guide or coach the child, and sometimes put the child in a spot where it might be something that uncomfortable that I didn't want to do. If you have to take someone to the doctor or the hospital, it's like, yeah, they don't want to do that.
A little faster. There you go.
But then there's other times where
it's okay, I promise. We're almost
you can
done.
let that child, or in this case the horse, have some agency in their voice.
We got like 3 more spots of that stuff.
And let them say something and respond to it or respect that. So it goes both ways. So in the first part of part 1 of Antelope Island, there's a lot of times when he was like, nope, I kind of want to go home. Nope, I want to stop here. And I was like, nope, we have to keep going. And so I asserted myself as the leader to keep going.
Okay, run out.
Sometimes not effectively, but nonetheless, we did keep going. And like there, well, sorry, I guess not there, but then there's other times where I let him say something and then I respect that wish, or I try to as best I can. I guess what I'm trying to say is like it really should be, or hopefully be, like a partnership, where. Like there, I didn't have to like say much. He knew that there was like the rocks there they need to slow down for, so I let him.
Oh, that's pretty.
This is a very beautiful part as you come up that hill and then come around that corner to like this.
Want to get off here?
This is again Antelope Island in Utah. And you'll see here, it's kind of an unorthodox beauty, but it is beautiful. It's just no arguing, just that it's gorgeous. It's not like the green lush or whatever that you think a forest, but it is beautiful. Here I get off again. It is a rock. So this section, the reason I got off here is it's a rocky downhill, because it is a rocky and downhill. This is where again, and you see on both sides here, I I can't get off of this road. And because I can't get off of this road either side, I'm going to walk it just to relieve as much pressure as I can.
Here on this rocky downhill, we're gonna walk because he's pushing a really good pace. Save his hooves as much as I can. And as soon as it's not rocky, we get back on, we'll run it back to the check. We're doing about 9 miles an hour right now. Average, except this walk, obviously. This walk is about 3. At this pace, we definitely can make it, even though we had a really slow first half. Down by that little brush, I'll remount. Okay. Actually, right here is good. I know. Give him some itches and loves for how good he's doing. He's dripping sweat. Oh, that was my fault. I mounted weird. Okay, let's go.
You got this, buddy. In that mount, but it was horrible. Anyway, you see here, I believe he sets off just fine. Maybe a little bit of tap there, but he started walking from a stop, which is what he was not doing the first view. And then I think I needed tap in there to get him to get to speed, which is fine. But you saw how he was just sweating.
Nice rain.
His breathing is not off. Everything is metabolically sounding very good. So we're honestly in a really good state right here.
And trotting instead of cantering.
His impulsion is a lot better. I think it's hard to tell with the viewpoint of the camera whether I did tap him with the crop or not. I can't remember. But if I did, it was probably just a tap or something. But he's off like really well. So all in all, very, very good. In fact, another thing that I actually looked for while I was recording this, I stopped there after I did that voiceover, and I went back and looked at him when I remounted, and in that very short clip of me remounting, yes, you can see that he's sweating pretty good, which is to be expected. But if you look at his breathing and his overall demeanor, like he's asking for scratches, but he looks really, really good metabolically. At least that's my perception of someone on here is more experienced than me and whatever, or you have a comment to the contrary of that, that's totally fine. Let me know what you think. But to me, he looks really good at that stop before I remount, which is amazing to see just how fit he is realistically. I love this horse. He's so good. Okay, so I just watched a segment and I had to rewind it back here again. I know you were getting sick of me doing these voiceovers, but I just had to because this section here is so amazing to me. It's so amazing. So I say, whoa, whoa. He goes to a walk, just very gently, very politely. Again, so good, so good. And this may be stuff that's just like ordinary to everyone else, but to me, like, I don't take this stuff for granted because it has taken an insane amount of work to get here to where we are on the same page with this. Okay, the next thing here is he walks calmly by this rock with this big shadow. At City of Rocks and other places in training, that would have scared him to death. It would have been a whole ordeal where he had to like say something about it, spook at it, something, and he didn't. He just walked right by it. And then here, I just give him my normal like verbal trot cue, and he trots off. Again, I'm not so 100% sure with the camera angle, if I use the crop or not, but I don't think so. I think there I just like give him a verbal trot on, and he trots just like we do in training and practice. So that whole thing of like we were going at speed, we slowed down to a walk, we walked by an obstacle, and then we go up to a trot, all in a very easy, I don't know, just it's almost like seamless. And then here we're back into a canter. It's this kind of stuff to me is again something I don't take for granted. It's amazing to me because it would have been impossible just 7 months ago. Like, I'm so happy with like just how far we've come together. I'm waffling because it's just I can't express it. I can't express it. I'm very, very, very proud of it.
Up here onto the grass, Sandy's part. Right here. You're okay. Come up here in the shoulder, and then trot. Yep, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Stay right here on the left. Good job. Right here. Stay off them rocks.
If you remember earlier in my comments where I said that sometimes I gave some random long, like me talking, because that's just how I am. But I gave some comments about how I try to listen to him. So in this case, you see here, he goes down to a walk. I say keep going, but then I say, okay, a few seconds breather, and then we say keep going. So this is kind of what I mean, is I'm trying to listen to him, give him some voice. And again, I let him walk for a few seconds, and then I do kind of get him back to a trot again. And I think that's fine. But he kind of said, I need a breather. I gave him a breather. And even when I said, okay, keep going, I kind of recanted that in my mind and said, okay, like let's take a breather. So that's kind of what I mean. It's something as simple as that, as respecting them for a few seconds, that sometimes is kind of how I try to develop my relationship with him. So even sometimes that I will say something verbally, but not enforce it in a way, because I'm still allowing him to say what he needs.
He chose to walk on the road there, so I let him.
And then right after
Usually
that is
feeling tender, he won't do it.
Only like even like 4 seconds that he needed, and then we're back at a trot.
Go downhill.
So I guess that's kind of what I'm talking about. And right here I do it again. I'll say keep going, and then I actually like don't press him. So I say verbally keep going, but my mind realizes that he needed to walk. So he's like, okay, good job, do a little break.
So for anyone wondering, we've gone at an extremely slow first half, 26 miles or so. And we're cutting it close for the time. And the vet, and everyone at the vet, ride manager, everyone, they said I could definitely push him. They say that he's being lazy. He's not in anywhere near his cardio limit at all. So that's why I'm pushing him, just so you know. It's because we've already had a really lazy first half, and I have the green light from professionals to push him, and I tend to not push him very much when he's exhibiting this little bit of laziness. So just so you know, that's the game plan here. And if we push at this pace that we're doing, we can still make it.
Okay, so I'm actually, for the first time ever, I'm going to freeze this frame here to really explain my thoughts in the voiceover, because I think this is very important. So even though, as I just explained there, that the vet said, ride manager and experienced riders, even though they all said that Nico was in a healthy state and that they gave me the green light to push him. Okay, even with all that being said, is it still my responsibility and my choice as the rider, and my, again, responsibility for the safety of my horse to make the decision? And even though they all said that, they would have supported me if I decided to pull him from the race, if I was still concerned. Okay, they would have supported me. They just gave me their opinions. So despite their opinions, it is my responsibility, and it's your responsibility as the rider, to protect your horse and to keep your horse safe and healthy. So despite everything, I chose in this case to take their advice, because I also know in my mind the training that we've done, and I know that I'm not pushing him too hard based on, how he's reacting to how I'm pushing him. And because I know that, because I'm very confident in it, and because a large part of my anxiety at the vet check was because I was just exhausted and tired myself. because I know that I am not pushing him past the point of unsafety. Okay, if I even for a second thought that I was making my horse in danger or unhealthy or hurting him, I would have pulled him, and even now I would have gotten off and walked the entire way home. Like I will never ever endanger my horse. So I guess the reason that I'm so passionate about this, that enough to freeze this, is even if professionals and other people are saying like, oh, you can do it, it's still your responsibility to protect your horse and make the decision that's going to be best for them. And I believe that I did that, and I did it responsibly. So and in this case, I chose to continue and to take their advice because I knew it would be fine, and I wasn't too worried. So there you go. I just wanted to make that very clear.
So that's the goal. Keep going. So just so you know, I have a professional vet who's giving me okay. Letting him, I thought he was gonna pee. Let's go. Nope. We're gonna walk down this hill though. I'm gonna stay on because it's not too rocky. I don't like to run down these hills. It's not good on their joints. When we get past that second sunflower, the steepness levels out enough we can run. But until the steeper grade, we'll walk. I see it. There's a deer up there that's bothering him. There. I don't like this terrain very much. Get down here a little. I don't like that rocky trail. You okay? We'll play this part easy. Nope. He's really worried about that deer. It's just a deer, bud. It's not gonna eat you. I'm gonna just 2-point, not even like posting, just staying up in a 2-point. Stay off his back as much as I can because it's a little bit choppier of a trot down the hill. And I don't have the core strength to 2-point properly. One thing to know is that you don't hold onto the reins for your balance, but you do, I do hold onto the pommel. I don't have a horn on this saddle, but it does have a little bit of a pommel. No English saddles, you can't really do that, but you gotta work on your core to get better. But one thing I do good is I don't hold on the reins. Okay, let's go.
I don't recommend taking riding advice from me. I'm just kind of telling you my thoughts and my opinion why I'm riding. So what I'm saying is I'm trying to hold a 2-point on him, which is just kind of suspended off the saddle. I wasn't posting him there. When we're going down a choppy downhill like this, I just try to stay off his back as much as I
back
can.
Up here if you want.
And then I'm also saying I don't use the reins for balance, but I do use the pommel a little bit because my core strength isn't strong enough for a true 2-point yet, though I'm working on that
staying off
core strength.
Basically.
So that's kind of what I'm explaining here.
So my saddle, my weight isn't on his back.
Watching this probably are better riders than me, so I'm just telling you what I do. I'm not saying that I'm great or the best, and you probably know better or doing it better.
Easy here in the
This is just what I do. I've taught myself, and one thing is I just do stay off his back.
Keep going
as much as I can. I try to stay balanced, and also I don't hold on his face. So those are things I think I do good. But hey, you know better than me.
If this was not downhill, I would have just kept him in a trot. Okay, let's go. Okay, run out here.
This is another point where, again, like I've had such a great ride so far, and I've had so much fun that here though, again, I recant or take back in my mind and realize like, nope, trot is actually great here. Long trotting is actually perfect. And the reason we were cantering so much earlier is because I did need to push him and wake him up a little bit. But here where he's trotting and going at such a great pace and great speed, I don't need to push him into a canter. So it may sound dumb, but when you're riding, just have also the humility to know what's best for your horse and to realize, like, even though you say something or you think something might be best, you know, like, oh, canter, let's go, it's so much fun. Like, no, trotting is fine. And I kind of just took a step back in my mind and realized we're doing great. So, and I'm pushing him, I'm keeping him still in the trot. you know, I said, keep going. We're holding it. We're still working.
Go on the path or stay up
but
there.
I'm not getting ahead of myself. So, or at least trying not to.
Hey, let's go. Keep it up. Sandy, watch your steps. Okay, walk. It's okay. Just keep walking at a fast walk. There you go. Keep going. Okay, trot. Come a few more. Do this. Keep going. Around the bush. Keep going. You're okay. These are annoying, dude. I don't know if you want to be on them. Let's get on the trail. You think? You'd rather be out here? Okay. No, keep going. Okay, actually, I'll take that back. A walk here is fine. Had a good chop segment. Now, I do feel weird. I feel like I was reading all the signs. This feels like it's farther than it should be, though. We need to be heading back that way. Oh man, I read every sign though. If we don't win this, or not win, but finish this because I went the wrong way, I will be sad. But this doesn't feel right. Let's go see if there's a sign up there. Come on up here. Oh, thank heavens there's a sign. Okay. We turn right here. Oh, thank heavens. I knew we were supposed to turn right soon. Okay, right there. Okay, I just didn't see this path from where I was, my vantage point. So I was worried we were gonna be forced to go up there to the left or backtrack. That scared me because I knew we weren't supposed to go up there. We'll walk down this mostly because there's no good side ground to canter, or trot rather. Oh, that's a prickly, and the path itself is pretty steep downhill. I'm gonna stay off his back. You okay? Right here. We're still making really good time, so this is okay. We don't want to eke too far right, bud. Stay close by the trail. Stay in the trail. Go to that one then. Man, he just feels like a totally different gait and everything when he's even on that little gravel. He just hates it. Just need to get to a spot where we can run again. This is a great break though. His respiration is coming back. I keep a pretty good eye on his breathing. I know what he can take. And this part of the trail still goes right here, okay. Okay, you got it?
Okay, so this part's funny. So here, right about here, I tell him, oh, don't lean that far to the right. And I say that was honoriness. It's really hard for you to tell based, you know, like I'm sitting there writing and I know what he's saying versus you in the film. So the reason I said that was honoriness is because he really pulled to the right there. Like I actually had to like hold him left against the trail versus usually sometimes he's kind of there on the right just because he's kind of meandering and, you know, we're finding our path and I give him his head a lot. But that spot, that's the reason I said that, is because he pulled to the right, because he knows that that is a faster way home. So that's why I said that.
And then here I'll regather it. Oh, get some thick brush here. Make sure we stay by the trail. I don't mean being off the trail, but he saw that the trail curved there and he tried to cheat it. I think there's a difference between staying kind of off of it so that we're not hurting ourselves on it versus cheating it. I will not allow. He's a little bit lazy. This isn't bad, bud. Keep going. There, I actually didn't super want to trot. I just wanted him to walk faster than 0 miles an hour. But he interpreted it as a trot, so I'll let him. I don't want to go there. Easy. Okay. Good. Okay. This is good enough road. I think we can handle it. Stay on. You can go up here if you want. It's the same deal though. Stay on the trail. Stop cheating.
This is kind of nitpicky on him, but I was definitely getting a little bit frustrated because he just kept pulling right. Obviously, I'm letting him run here on the right because it's softer, but he's trying to very, very, very hard pull right. So that's why I was getting a little bit frustrated at him. You see, I keep kind of having to keep him on the track, keep pulling him on. So forgive my frustration. He's a good boy. I love him. Actually, coming up here, I'll be set. I just keep him on the trail. But then here, in just a second, I let him open up with just a verbal cue, and it's, again, such a nice feeling. He's such a good guy. There it is. I still have to hold him a little bit to the left, but that's okay. This is a little bit tougher to ride, but I love his fast trot. Look at him just cruise at this trot. You just kind of have to be in a standing, like 2-point again, but he is so fast and so strong with it. It's great. And he does it over this like a little bit rougher terrain. And then I slow him here because of the tall sunflowers, and I'm trying to keep him here onto the left. So, but it's difficult, but a lot of fun. It really is. You can't see it with the camera, but where I say it's a water bucket, like up on the road up here on the left, there's like a, it turned out to be a sign that got knocked over, but I, for life of me, couldn't tell what it was for a while.
This is a sign, I don't know what it says. I think it just says straight. Yeah, there's a knocked over sign. Okay, come up here. Over on the road. Over on the road. You okay? You got it. If you don't like it, we can go right here. Okay, let's go. Oh. go. Okay. Okay. Getting back to himself, he doesn't need the crop to give him a little inspiration. Just going off his vocal cues again, so that's a great sign that he's not out of it, he's just lazy.
I'll clarify here. What I mean by that is that he was being lazy earlier in the ride, but here he is not.
Stay on the road here.
I
don't know why you always have
That's
to
what
drift.
I meant by that. He's not
He
out of
always
it.
drifts
He
away
was
from the
previously
trail.
being lazy, but now he's in tune.
It's weird. Need to figure out if it's a feet thing or a brain thing.
In retrospect, I don't think it's a feet thing or a brain thing. I guess it's a brain thing where, again, he wants to go more right here because he knows it's the faster way home. So that's why I'm kind of fighting him a little bit to keep him to the road. In retrospect, what I should have done is just brought him to the left side of that road on the left shoulder. It would have been just fine. I have chosen the shoulder indiscriminately up to this point just based on how we're riding, and it's no big deal. He's been totally fine. But this spot with him pulling a little to the right, I should have just dragged him all the way to the left side of the road and held him on that shoulder and just been very firm. But I didn't think about it at the time. Man, and then it just goes off. It feels so good. Well, that's it for part 2. This whole segment of the ride was just amazing. It was so fun to ride. We had a blast, and this really was the turning point and so invigorating. You can't tell based on this film, but I was dead, exhausted, and mentally discouraged before going into this loop. And I thought, like, okay, if we can make this 8-mile loop, then I'll continue and push to the end, which is end up being what we did. But if we still lag behind, then the loop does end back at the vet check, and so we could still pull if we needed to. But he did just so amazing, above and beyond what I expected him to do, and it lifted my spirits up too. So forgive me for all the voiceovers. I didn't go back and edit them because I was just so excited with a lot of the commentary on here, so I just let it be. So if something doesn't make sense or whatever, I tend to waffle on. Just bear with me. This is how I'm doing it, and I'm doing my best to provide open and honest critique of myself, as well as open and honest writing, so you guys can see a fly gets on him here. It's actually so annoying. We have to eventually stop to get it off. But I had a blast here with Nico. We had so much fun riding together, and yeah, this segment here is kind of what we all, I think, live for as far as endurance goes. So if you have any questions or any thoughts about my waffling my waffling on comments, feel free to put them in the comments below, and like and follow the channel, because I'll be posting more stuff, as well as the part 3, which I don't know if that's a whole hour, but I'll see what I can get posted. And yeah, just cheers. Thanks for supporting and following, and let me know what you think. All the best and happy trails. Cheers. See ya.